Hi, welcome. Tonight we are on lockdown again, and for that reason, I thought it would be a good opportunity to make some question and answers by my patrons at patreon.com Miguel Falcão. Tonight, the first questions are going to be by my patron Lee Ross from Toronto, Canada. Hello, Lee. His first question was how long have I been playing the bass? So it was around the end of 1987 when I got my first bass. Before that, I used to jam on a regular guitar which belonged to my father. I still have the guitar, but I would play along to Beatles records, not really knowing what was the bass guitar about until I got curious, because on the vinyls of the Beatles there used to be the credits for solo guitar, for rhythm guitar, and for bass guitar, and I didn't know what was a bass guitar, so I asked my father, and he showed me the bass line of Paperback Writer. That was that red album collection of Beatles songs, and on that album the bass, at least on that song, is kind of isolated to one of the sides, so I could hear something that I never had paid attention before, and that was the bass line. That was a really intense discovery for me, because I fell in love with that sound, which seemed to be like an independent melody and not really connected to what I was usually paying attention with, which would be the vocals or the guitars. It was something different, and I liked how that particular bass line worked with the rest of the instruments, only I never had the chance of really paying attention to it. So from then on, I knew I wanted to be a bass player. So I was very young. I was like 12 or 10, I don't know. But I started to emulate the bass just with the low strings of the guitar. So when I got my first bass, that was in the end of 87. And from that period where I discovered the bass to buying my first bass, I was listening to all the bass players. I was training my ears to listen for the bass lines in any song. So I can remember, of course, Paul McCartney's bass lines, listening to Paul McCartney's bass lines, and later from other bass players, which became my favorites in the subsequent years. So like John Deacon from Queen, from Peter Avas of Marillion, Michael Steele of the Bangles, Derek Forbes of the Simple Minds, Mark King of Level 42, Peter Hook of Joy Division, and several others, which by the time I got my first bass, I really wanted to learn how to play all of their bass lines. I remember that around that time the Wembley concert of Queen was very, very popular and was broadcasted on TV. So I remember that, for example, Under Pressure was one of the first songs that I immediately wanted to play, that initial riff, which for me was very beautiful. By that time, that also I joined my first band ever. I joined the band before I got the bass. At first I just played on an electric guitar, just again trying to play just the bass part of it. And since then, you know, I had my first bass, and then I had a few others before I got a Rickenbacker, my first Rickenbacker. So that was it, 1987. So that was the first question of Lee. The second question is, how many years did you play before you started concentrating on Yes and Chris's solo work. So that's a kind of continuation of the first question. Actually, it was a long time. At the time, it seemed like a long time. Now it's practically nothing. But it wasn't until 1988 or 9 that I think 1989 that I finally started to understand what was Yes about. And of course, Chris's playing fascinated me a lot, thanks to my friend Pedro, who had all of Yes collection on vinyl still. So slowly I really identified myself with the sound, with the playing of Chris Squire, especially the first LP that Pedro recommended to me was Tormato, and that was really something completely revolutionary for me to hear that sound of bass, and also realize that Chris was making those beautiful vocal harmonies, and the music was so rich and challenging for me that I made that step and instantly became a Yes fan. And then, of course, the 9012 live video in which I could see Chris playing, and I really enjoyed that video, and still one of my favorite videos by Yes. And also the versions of the songs that stuck to me as my favorite versions of the songs are still from that video, from that concert. So when I saw that video and I saw Chris playing it, I had the notion that he was playing a short scale bass, because the proportions between him and how the bass looks when Chris is playing, to me, was it has to be a short scale bass. So I convinced my friend in my band, the drummer Paulo, so we could split our savings and get a short scale bass. And only after did I realize that it wasn't the bass that was short, So that was funny. So that was my beginning of knowing about Chris Squire's playing, Chris Squire's gear, and that was before internet. So you have to to make some wrong steps before you get some things right. The next question by Lee Ross, and the question is, do I play any other instruments? Well, yes, maybe you have seen me playing the gadulka, which is a Bulgarian traditional instrument. With the gadulka, all my interests of Bulgarian traditional music, which comes from the Bulgarian female choirs that I started listening a long time ago, even in the 80s, and that continued with me until now. Besides that, I also started playing the double bass because, for me, the bass instrument is a general interest. I like to explore the roles of the bass instrument in many styles. So I started to attend a jazz workshop in which my teacher then, and very great bass player from Portugal, Bernardo Moreira, he offered to give me his bass for me to try, because I was going there just to study electric bass on jazz. But after I tried the double bass for the first time, I felt like I really wanted to add one more variation of the instrument, of the bass instruments. And then some years after, they started the classical double bass course in the local music school, in the Conservatory of Music. That was the only option that I had, so I went for it. And I loved also the way that double bass is played on the classical speech. And so with that I also had the chance to study music in a more formal way, to be able to understand theory and a little bit more about reading, about analysis and composition and all that stuff. So double bass is one other instrument that I play. And I play a little bit guitar and drums, although it's more like not my main instrument, but I really enjoy playing. As a kid I was hitting the pillows with wooden spoons, and also trying to be a drummer. And the guitar is related to my beginnings at home, because I had a guitar, and it's also a very useful instrument for composing some songs and to have fun. So the next question is, before you owned a Rickenbacker, did you modify some basses of yours in order to achieve the Chris Squire tone? I never thought that it would be so important to modify a bass to get something close to Chris Squire's tone. Although I knew that I had to have fresh strings and maybe get some roto sounds, which were very expensive at the time. But really, what I really worked on was to be as close as I could to replicate Chris's playing, just with my fingers, with my hands, and with the bass that I had. And if I think about it, that Chris Squire will sound like Chris Squire even if he's playing other bass different than his Rickenbacker. So yeah, well, maybe I could, but at the time, there wasn't so many options to make modifications to instruments. The market was very limited, and money wasn't so much, and there was not so many information also about how to do it. We just tried to do the best we could with what we had. So that was it. The next question is, what inspired me to make the Play for Chris project, and how does it feel to see and to play with all those contributions from all over the world? As you know, Chris Squire announced that he was sick, and I think by then we were all together as fans already in social media, in YouTube, in Facebook, and I think all of the fans started to interact with each other. Of course, worried, and some ideas have appeared. And I spoke with Devin Flatto, a friend that was, also on my channels, and we discussed the possibility of making a video, since I was making cover videos, and a video that could unite the fans of Chris's to make something that would arrive to him as a get well soon message. So that's how the project of Play for Chris started, and we just ended the project about 2 weeks before he passed away, and that was sent to Chris, to his wife, and unfortunately then we all knew that Chris had passed away. But in continuation, and because that was a big shock for all the fans. I decided that I really would like to continue with the same format. So this time we could pay tribute and celebrate Chris's life and music. And of course, it's a joy for me and an honor to be able to handle those contributions from all participants that I know that they are as big fans as I am of Chris Squire, and to make them unite and result in something that that all fans will enjoy and feel some relief, let's say, of being together and celebrating Chris's music, because this is something that touches deeply all of the fans, and for me it's really an honor to be contacted and to receive messages and feelings and opinions and everything from fellow Chris's fans. So it's really something very important for me. So the next question of Lee Ross is, when people discover that you offer private instruction, so he means my online bass lessons that you can find all about at miguelbass.com/lessons. So Lee is asking, when people approach me searching for bass lessons, are they interested only in learning Yes songs? What percentage of people wants to learn Yes songs? I would say all of them are Chris's fans or Yes fans, bass players for sure. Some of them did not play bass at all, or have stopped playing bass long ago, and by my videos they are inspired to return playing the bass after a long pause. Of course, I also offer not only to learn Chris Squire's songs, I also teach the basics for those of who just want to begin learning the bass, and I had students from several parts of the globe, and they are all Chris's fans, and they want to learn all the songs that we learn to love of Chris Squire. So that closes our first question and answers session by Lee Ross from Toronto, Canada. Thanks, Lee. If you wish to support my videos, my music, please visit patreon.com Miguel Falcão. And until next time, bye bye and thank you.